Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike Bloom, and I want to welcome you all to our principal update session today. Hopefully you've all had a great second week opening to the school year today. I know that the weather is bringing some much cooler temperatures our way, which is very refreshing if you enjoy fall and some of the cooler weather. But also just thinking about the many changes that have occurred in the school year since where we were in March. Just reminded about the importance of the teamwork that we share and how you're connected closely to your staff through the ups and downs, the highs and lows, the positives, and sometimes the challenges involved with doing what we know is best for kids. So as we enter this new school year and a new season, transitioning from summer to fall, I just want to thank you for, again, your leadership and the ways that you've helped your staff to adjust to that ebb and flow and the ups and downs and the joys and the challenges of all that they're doing to support our students with disabilities. I know that it has come with a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, a lot of collaboration, and certainly teamwork. I just appreciate that. So today's Special Ed Update session will give you an opportunity to hear of some new updates that we want to share with you from our instructional team as well as our procedural team. And then we'll open it up at the very end to provide an opportunity for you to ask some questions. I do want to let you know that I have a 1:30 appointment that I'll need to leave to get to, but Dr. Jane Strong will provide some assistance as moderator of the session, and I do have members of our instructional team, our central office team, also available who will be able to answer some questions. So I just want to thank you in advance, and we'll go ahead and get started on some of the updates. The meeting is being recorded, and as I've done in the past, I will make sure that I email the link to the recording as well as the PowerPoint slides for today after the meeting. So we're going to start today with some special education instruction updates, and I just as a reminder wanted to share the link with our special education resource hub. So again, this is a Google page or a Google site that's been added that provides all of the up-to-date information regarding both instruction as well as procedural updates. So we have a number of links that provide just good current information for both you as administrators and your teachers related to all things special education. So right up at the very top, there are some quick links that you can navigate in order to get to some of the procedural documents that we've uploaded as well as some of the instructional documents. Also are the recorded links to these update sessions along with the PowerPoints that we've included. So I encourage you, if you haven't had a chance to look through the resource hub, that you have an opportunity and have a chance to look through that. So I just wanted, again, by way of reminders, let you know that that site is there that has our most recent information. One of the pieces of information that we've included on the resource hub is our next bulleted item, which is the phase-in instructional supplies lists. So if you attended the principal briefings on Friday, you have from Sloan about the initial phases of the phase-in plan and some of the groups that will initially be looked at bringing in person as we go through this phase-in process. Sloan talked a little bit about the school board work session and some of the information that would be shared with the school board. And he also drafted a timeline that included a draft date for our initial groups to include Group 1 coming in at the end of September, which would include some select high school courses. But then Group 2 was our group for special education that included our early childhood class-based students as well as our preschool autism classrooms. And so we just wanted to make sure, as you've started to get more information about the phase-in plan, that in particular, we do have a recommended list of instructional supplies and materials posted for early childhood special education and for PAC, as well as we're getting ready to put a list up, if it's not there already, for students accessing our self-contained Cat B programming, primarily students on the adapted curriculum. The timeline for those students, while it hasn't been determined yet, in the draft to the school board, at least now we're predicting, or we're drafting to the school board that that's going to occur sometime later in October, mid to late October. So again, for your ability to pre-plan and prepare yourselves and get ready for that in-person instruction, we thought it was important to point you to the direction of those instructional supplies lists. And certainly we can answer any further questions about those lists as well. Going down this bulleted list, the next item is student use of digital tools. So we've had at least one school board member raise a concern that she had been hearing from some parents out in the community that some of her students or some students with disabilities have had a difficult time navigating some of the digital tools. So for example, some teachers are asking students as part of assignments to access PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint or Microsoft Word. And so some of our students with disabilities may be challenged with being able to more efficiently navigate and use those tools. So we just want to remind you to let your staff know, and we're going to be able to provide these same updates to our lead teachers and our department chairs. But we are asking that your teachers, case managers, monitor students' use of some of those digital tools, and if they are having a more difficult time with some of the components of Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, some of the things that, you know, we can sometimes make assumptions that all of our students have the skills to be able to navigate those things. It may require some more explicit instruction from that case manager to that student to be able to navigate those tools successfully. So we just wanted to bring that up here today. And as I mentioned, we'll bring that up with our teachers as well, so that they can share with your instructional staff at the school level. And then the second item that was brought up as an area of concern was, again, reminding our teachers of the importance of helping students to be able to connect with each other. And so I know that your teachers, as part of their schedules, have a number of different ways that they do that, through morning meeting activities and through just the instructional activities that they're providing. But especially for some of our students who have a more difficult time navigating the social environment in the virtual world, to be mindful and to be just aware of those needs and try to create activities and try to create some opportunities for peers in the course of instruction to connect with each other, whether that's in the large group, general education setting, or within the small pull-out group, special education setting. So we just wanted to give that reminder to everyone, and so that's another piece that we'll be sharing with our department chairs at the secondary level and then our lead teachers at the elementary level. The next bulleted item, I just wanted to mention that, again, we sent out that infogram a couple of weeks ago extending the deadline for any of the required PD for special education staff. So I just put that in there as a reminder that we extended that to October 12th for any of your staff. And we'll also remind your staff about that as well. Under the related services bullet, I just wanted to reinforce, and I talked about this a little bit, or Judy Dupre talked about this a little bit at our last meeting, about the need for flexibility in the scheduling process for related service delivery. And we know that we've said that that Monday time could be used for the delivery of related services, but we have also asked for flexibility as your special education teachers are working alongside the related service providers and scheduling OT, PT, speech and language services, counseling service, that we're finding that there are cases instances where we just need to be working more closely together to find the time. I know that there's a limited amount of time, and we're trying to schedule all of the special education service delivery hours as well as related service delivery hours. But we certainly want to be able to provide all of the services that are outlined in student IEPs in the virtual environment. So we're just going to be stressing again with the lead teachers the importance of just working together with those related service providers so that we can make those schedules work most efficiently that we can for kids. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Strong now. She's going to go over a couple of slides related to procedural supports. And as I mentioned, I have to get off of this call now, but our team on board here will be able to answer questions, and certainly you can reach out to me directly if you've got some additional questions after this session. So thank you, everyone. Dr. Strong?
Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. So you see on the slide that we do have upcoming department chairs and lead teacher meetings. Since this is the elementary group, you'll look down to the last bullet there. Elementary is not till October 12th. And that's because, we are constrained by calendar and not pulling, teachers out of class for these meetings. We did offer on the 12th flexibility of your lead teacher selecting either an AM or a PM session, and that is a Monday, I believe. And there is the MyPDE sign-up number for the course also. So for the elementary folk, if you don't mind, since that's a ways away still, please convey some of the high points from what we discussed today to your leads, and also encourage and allow your lead to attend that meeting. So there will be a lot of information, both instruction and procedural, and from intervention and prevention. It's a whole DSS overview for the elementary lead teachers. So the questions and concerns continue around the topic of hearing screenings. Thank goodness for Lorraine Trouton, because she's a godsend. She, as you know, is our health specialist or manager, and she does all of the collaboration and working with and cooperating with the Fairfax County Health Department. So at my insistence to her, she's been insisting to the health department that we have to have help on completing the hearing screenings, especially for our students who are in the local screening process. So as you guys know, but as some of you, it may be a reminder or new information actually, that the hearing screening is required for all initial evaluations for special ed. It's not required for reevals, and vision actually is not required by the Code of Virginia. It is a best practice. At Fairfax, we train local screening committees to go ahead and select hearing and vision sort of as a combo. But the biggest concern right now is to get those hearing screenings done for those initial students, initial evaluations of students who may have a disability. So the health department has promised that they will work with us on a rotating plan for their SHA, or their school health assistant, from your clinics to serve. And we're going back and forth. I wish I had a concrete set up of plans for you today. Unfortunately, we don't have it yet, but we're close. They're offering in the next 2 weeks or so to start having SHAs be assigned to help us with the hearing screenings. So one of the things, though, that is recommended both by the Virginia Department of Ed and our health department is that if you have a situation where you're really in a hurry, for the child's best interest to get along, getting with eligibility for a child, you may use a physical that is in the record So you may have a kindergarten physical that screened hearing. You may have the new student screenings that are required every year for new students or kindergarten or third grade. And if those are fairly recent, you may use those. You may go to eligibility without a newer screening and then circle back and consider later as necessary if there's any lingering concern about hearing or vision. There is a potential plan to help with this issue also by training some school staff. But again, these are plans that are still in the works, and we don't have anything concrete for you on how to do that. If you have a question or a concern about a particular case, of course, as always, go to your PSL or give any of the managers or me a call about how to finesse a situation with hearing screenings in particular. So the next thing I want, whoops, too fast there. So the next topic is somewhat of a review, but a little bit of an update with some new themes here for you for what to do when you have a parent who is very unhappy with the virtual service for their student with a disability. You know, some parents have advocates or attorneys who use the word compensatory service, that you owe us compensatory services, or what my child missed from spring or even from now. And the Virginia Department of Education came out with a document at the end of July, and we shared that link with you a while back, that goes over how compensatory services are not applicable in this period of an emergency COVID-19 shutdown. Instead, they coined the term recovery service. So taking that document, we have had some of my team look at a guidance document, and that is almost ready to be rolled out. So in the guidance document, really the biggest advice right now is for your special education teachers to be collecting and maintaining good documentation on their students for the purpose of potential consideration of recovery services. One of the things that the VDOE document recommends is that your teachers look back in the file to last year pre-COVID. Take a look at what was the baseline of IEP goals or any other tools that are in the file, any other evaluative information that you have pre-COVID. And then what data do you have from the voluntary service that was the continuity services in spring? And then I didn't put on the slide, but you know, if a student participated in ESY, also that's helpful data. And then right now you're in your second week of school, first day of the second week, but so your teachers are hopefully getting into a rhythm where they can work with their students and collect new data. Using any information that you have for your students in their general education class is also helpful. So I did touch base with Beatrice about what's going on with our general ed colleagues and teachers and students. And so all of the things that students with disabilities can participate in, for instance, if they participate in the general curriculum. So the Horizon mini assessments or curriculum embedded assessments that general education teachers are using within those classes. Those things are things that you should help your special ed department to understand about and make sure there's some cross collaboration between general ed and special ed, like you always do. But even more important now, as data is being gathered, collected, and analyzed for whether or not a student is experiencing a great number of instruction gaps, or if they're seemingly going to be able to catch quickly. So our guidance document on this topic is coming very soon. We will be discussing a version of it with the high school department chairs next week, and we expect that there are some charts and some things that will make this as clear as we possibly can, knowing that these are going to be tough decisions and tough discussions with parents. As always, we do want to solicit some input from some of you. Your principal association representatives have been extremely helpful thus far with some of our guidance, or anybody who's not a part of that group but would like to give us some input into our guidance for this topic of recovery service. Please reach out to Debbie Lorenzo or myself, because we would like to schedule time to talk with anybody who has time to give us their input. It's always helpful to get the building administrator input and that lens on any of the documents that we create. So I'm going to pause for a moment and see Debbie Lorenzo join the call, and she's been primarily leading the document creation for this recovery service guidance. So Debbie, is there anything you want to add? I think you're on the call.
Yeah, I am. No, I think you covered it all. We'll give preliminary to the department chairs first, because we meet with them on the 21st, and then lead and elementary lead teachers on the October 12th. But by then, we're hoping to have the document out and hopefully a recording done so that we can have them, listen to the recording with their PSL as well as with their teachers. So, but yes, please reach out if you would like to provide some input, take a look at the documents. I'm happy to share the link and just, meet with you. Or we've been meeting in small little groups in Google, which has been really helpful.
Great, thank you. Okay, so in terms of, updates, that's all we have today, both from the instruction and procedural, but we have plenty of time to try and answer any questions that you have. So you want to use the raise the hand feature, and we'll go from there. I don't see any yet. Dottie, go ahead. Do you have a microphone icon?
I do. Thank you for checking.
Yes.
I was wanting to find out some more information regarding the return of elementary class-based, the preschool class-based and PAC. I did have a couple teachers reach out to me today about coming into the building to set up, and I was curious what kind of communications might be coming for principals.
Denise and Ellie, I'm sure you all have that answer, or Tina.
So I can start. This is Denise Forrest. Hi, Dottie. So the preschool class-based and the PAC students will be coming back. The current initial thought, if all the metrics are met, would be for them to return on Tuesday, October 6th for in-person learning, and that they would attend 4 days a week, so Tuesday through Friday. The teachers have been alerted to update transportation stars requests. No date has been shared with the preschool teachers yet. We'll leave that to Dr. Brabrand to announce publicly. And so at this point in time, the only thing that's been communicated with the teachers is to update the transportation requests so that transportation can start to build the preschool bus routes. And so that's sort of the state of the land right now. What other questions might you have?
So my preschool teacher, and maybe this was on her own, I don't know, but reached out and said that she was instructed at PAC office hours that they needed to start getting their classrooms ready, and was wondering when she could come in to start moving furniture around. So that was the piece that had me a little bit, caught off guard. I wasn't sure what types of protocols we were using for setting up classrooms, or if I should be letting them into the building to set up classrooms, or if maybe she misunderstood.
Hey, Dottie Lynn, it's Tina Wilkerson. So what I said to them, I said after you guys get settled in like 2 weeks or so, you're going to want to reach out to Dottie and to talk and to the principals and see what the procedures might be for coming into the classrooms and what that would look like and when they would be ready for you to do that. As always, everything comes to the principals before it comes to the teachers, so that's all I said about that. And then I just reminded them that they might want to go ahead and do their STARS cards, because we always update our STARS card for our kiddos in September. That's it.
So it sounds like maybe she went out on a limb, because she definitely was like, we need to get in there, and was coming in today. So that's helpful.
She's a go-getter. I love her to death, but I'm sure she wanted to get it done.
So do we have any protocols? Are we using the same things that we would have started with at the beginning of the year? I just want to make sure that they're not going to end up doing double work.
We have put on, both Denise and I have put on to our OSEI web a checklist for them to look at and to go through, so that they're thinking about how are they going to keep the kids 6 feet apart, what's play going to look like, what's morning meeting going to look like, and how are we going to keep clean materials away from materials that have been used. So that is on our website. We are going to have a training when it gets closer to that time that both Denise and I will talk to them about how to set that up.
Thank you.
Okay, I see some questions, and I was going to say no hands, but now I see a hand. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I just put mine in. I put my question in the chat as well. When we start to look at this, I have 4 kids who have requested in person and 2 that have requested virtual. Will we be able to work with somebody to try to coordinate? And my teachers on ADA will be on leave on ADA teaching virtually. Who would I work with to help coordinate her classes and make this work?
For preschool, Mike?
Yeah, PAC.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure, and I can go back and check on your school in particular. At the beginning of the school year, actually early August, we were able to go in, and this is unique to only preschool because of the enrolling code of PS for preschool. We were able to go in and identify all of the preschool students by their family choice, and we tried as much as possible to assign an in-person student to an in-person teacher. And that's only as good, as you know, the program is a continuously enrolling program. So to start, I'm pretty sure that only in-person students were assigned to in-person teachers. But I can go back and check on your school to make sure.
That'd be great, because my teacher just became not in person last week.
Okay, well, so that's updated information. So we will work with you. Yep.
All right, great. Thank you.
But for the rest of the principals, for you to know that because we are continuously enrolling, at some point we're going to run out of in-person space, slots for the students. And so at some point in time, I'm predicting probably sometime in November, we may have to start taking away virtual caseloads and bringing back teachers who did not select in-person. And so when we get to that point, I will work with each school by school, and my program managers to identify where those virtual students can be placed with virtual teachers throughout the county.
Angela.
Hi, Jean. I just apologize if I missed this, but when are enhanced art classes coming back? At the same time as preschool and PAC, or a different time?
So this is Tina. One of the things that Mike said at the beginning is that we don't have a specific date that's going to be shared with the school board as far as enhanced art, but they will come back when the other Cat B classrooms come back, and they're thinking possibly, depending on the metrics, sometime in October, mid to late October. And again, that could change. There's still, we're working with HR about the ADA piece and all of that. But that's what we're planning for right now. But again, it could change.
Thank you.
Yep.
So is there anybody from the OSCI team that can answer Kelly's question about iPads for students who have difficulty accessing laptops? We'll have to get back to you on that, Kelly. That might be a Jeff Sisk adapted curriculum, or I mean adapted equipment. Okay.
Yeah, so Kelly, since it's enhanced dot, I will, and I know Judy's on here also, we'll ask about that, about whether or not that, or if there's some other type of technology that we can use.
Wow, Maureen, that's nice that you had touch screen monitors. Awesome. Okay, I don't see any other hands up. While, if anybody's thinking about what questions they have, I forgot to mention and to also give you all a big thanks for working with your teachers to get IEP addendums done and or prior written notices as you've looked at your students for the virtual learning. I checked today and we are at about 66% complete. It changes every minute. So, you know, the message today would be a gentle ask if you would touch base with your lead teacher and your special education teachers to see where they are. I know that sometimes the delay is due to parents not being responsive, but if you're having, you know, a great deal of difficulty, probably the PSO already knows, but if you need to, please reach out to me and Debbie and let us know. We'd like to see that percentage go up to much closer to 100%. We also know that the enrollment is down, so I am using the current enrollment number to even figure the percentage. So it's 66% roughly right now, so that means there's a lot of paperwork still and meetings still happening. Okay, I have a hand up. Erica, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Just wanted to know when we might expect to see the PPE for our early childhood-based classroom teachers. I haven't seen any of that for them yet.
So I just posted in the chat window that PPE for preschool is the equivalent of, not the equivalent, is equals a face mask, a face shield, a gown that's not disposable, that's laundered, and then gloves. You should, Tina, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that cloth face masks and face shields should be at your site now. Gowns were being ordered on Friday, and so that hopefully will get through procurement pretty quickly. Each site will get 2 weeks worth of gowns. Every child will have 4 gowns assigned to them for the day. 2 of the gowns would be for the teacher, and 2 of the gowns would be for the instructional assistant. So there's a gown, your primary gown for a student when you're working with a specific student, and then if something were to happen to that gown, you would have a backup gown. Those gowns at the end of the day will go into a launder basket, and the company that will be laundering the gowns will do a weekly pickup and pickup of used gowns and drop off of new gowns. We did find out on Friday that the gowns have to stay at the school building. So for example, if you have a physical therapist who's working between 2 to 3, probably sometimes even more sites, they can't take one gown from one school to the next. So we did pad numbers for the request for gowns so that staff such as yourself, if you were to go into a preschool classroom, or the physical therapist or the psychologist who might need to do updated testing on a student. So each site will have a number of gowns per student, so 4 per student, plus an additional 10 gowns. And then PT and OT, we did gowns by service. So if a student was receiving physical therapy, then there would be an additional gown for the physical therapist. If the student was receiving speech therapy, there was an additional gown added to the number for the speech therapist. And Tina, will you correct me, was I right in saying that the face shields and face masks have been forwarded to already be delivered to the buildings?
That's what, yes, that's what Karen was saying earlier.
Okay, yes, I've seen the face shields. I just wanted to, I had not seen the gowns, and so I wanted to see where we were with that, as well as, I know we were given gloves in order for testing to occur. I just didn't know if we were also receiving more gowns with the, more gloves when the gowns were also delivered.
That I don't know. We can certainly find out and have ready for next week.
Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say is that the PPE that was delivered a couple weeks back was really for the purposes of trying to get assessments done, and so that was a finite amount for that purpose in terms of gloves, and so you're going to need many more once you start having students come in. And then somebody, I think Rachel said, you know, this would be great if in writing somewhere, and so I'll work with, you know, the team there, and if it's not yet in writing somewhere, we'll work on that. That's a great suggestion.
Rachel, we can put it on the hub for sure.
Okay, any other questions? Angela.
Hi, I just had a question. I don't know if you can answer it at this time. Is there any discussion around the issues that we're facing with special education teachers having ADA requests and us not having enough staff to service kids? Like, are you a part of those conversations with HR?
So there's different folks involved with that. Yes, I have not been heavily involved yet, but Debbie and Mike and others on the OSEI team have been. So everybody's aware of that concern, and that's part of the reason we're going very slowly in the decisions. So yeah, I'll let Tina add to that.
Right, Angela, both Debbie and I have been working with HR, and just to get like the student numbers and preferences together. They're looking at their ADA requirements and teachers that are looking at level 1, and we're working to really figure out how we're going to support all the kids, knowing who, you know, whoever is ADA. So we're trying to hit it from 2 levels.
And I'm going to try to answer the question that Holly has about the clinic aides. I don't know specifically about the clinic aides, but I do know the request has been made for the public health nurses as well as other employees being identified by HR as being essential to come back. So for example, you don't need to have all of your cafeteria workers come back for preschool to come back into learning in person, but the thought was that perhaps each building's food manager would be the one that would come back to prepare lunch for the preschoolers, because the food manager would have to be on site no matter what to do temperature checks and make sure the equipment was working correctly. So I know that's just a very specific example that I can remember in a discussion with HR, but there are other staff that would need that Sean McDonald is working on figuring out which are the essential staff members that need to come back because preschool is coming back.
All right, well, we know that you all have a massive job to do at your buildings. We thank you for joining us today. The link is going to be open for a little while, so if you want to hang around and ask a question, you may. Otherwise, I don't see any other hands going up or questions in the chat. So have a very good week. I hope it is successful, and have a good day.